website. Um, this is the poster prep session. Me and Tanya will introduce ourselves. I'm Zachary Idala. I'm the vice president of NRHC, also former president, so I've been around a while. Tanya, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, my name is Tanya Radford. I'm at Dominican University in New York, and I'm the web coordinator. So I work on the website at NRHC, and I've been to a few conferences. And I'll just say, I think you guys are going to have a really great time in New Haven.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And I'm at Bloomfield College of Montclair
Josh,
University, so I forgot to mention that. So this is the poster prep session. Basically, what we're going to do tonight is go through what the poster sessions are and how they run, give you a sense of what to have prepared for your poster session, and then I'll show you some examples of quality posters, and then we'll open it up for Q&A, and we'll take any questions that you may have. All right.
And
So
and
I'm
any
gonna
part and in any part of the session, if you have a question that you want to stick into the chat, I'm going to be monitoring the chat. So if you have a question that you want to toss in there, we'll either pause to answer questions or I'll make an answer in the chat. So feel free.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to share my screen so that you can see it. So the first thing to know is, assuming that you are here to um, do a poster, you should know how large the poster needs to be. So you're going to do a poster. It'll be printed on a large sheet of paper. This is straight from the NRHC website. So if you're having trouble finding this, we could put a link in the chat maybe to this page where you can find this information. Posters should be no larger than 48 by 36 inches. You don't need to bring a trifold backing for it. We will have those provided along with clips and pins. So all you'll have to do is with your printed out poster, unfurl it, and we'll give you clips and trifold so that it can stand. For those of you that haven't been to a conference with a poster session before, basically the poster session is a large basically will be set up in a very large room where people are simultaneously giving their poster presentations. It's intended to be a space where attendees mill and walk through the session and interact with posters and the presenters of those posters based on their interests. So they're naturally a little bit less formal than, say, an academic talk or panel presentation. And so generally the way posters will be presented is you'll have maybe 1 to 2 minutes of semi-prepared remarks where someone will come up to you in the poster session and say, "Hi, tell me a little bit about your project." And then you'll say, "These are the things, this is my project in a nutshell," right? And then after that 1 or 2 minutes of you sort of walking people through whatever your project is, it's opened up for questions and dialogue and back and forth. So you're not expected to go into every nitty-gritty piece of detail in your overview. That's for the dialogue. That's for presenters or for attendees to say, "Tell me a little bit more about your methodology," or "How did you analyze this data?" Or "Tell me a little bit more about the implications or conclusions that you drew from this data or from your analysis," and then you walk them through that. That's essentially how a poster presentation runs. And then typically attendees will stand by your poster with you for maybe a few minutes before they move on. People that are more interested will spend more time with you. People who are less interested might spend a little bit less time with you, but that's okay. It's intended to be a place where people move around and go from place to place and poster to poster. Keep in mind that you're going to be in a room with approximately, what are our numbers, Tanya, for poster sessions? Like 45
That sounds about
presenters?
right.
It's
Yep.
about, so you'll be
It's
one of,
loud.
it's loud and it's big. And so just be aware it'll be basically, and this is normal for professional conferences, poster sessions will have many people presenting at the same time. You'll be one of maybe 45 other posters being presented simultaneously. And so, just so you're aware, you should know by now, or you will know very soon, which poster session you are presenting in. Poster session one is going to be on Saturday, right after the lunch, and that is going to be from 1 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. If you're in poster session two is going to be on Sunday morning, simultaneous with breakfast, and that'll run from 8:30 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. Okay? One thing I want to plug for you is we're doing poster awards. We did poster awards last year. We're doing them again this year. If you are interested in having your poster presentation be judged for the Outstanding Poster Award, you'll have to submit an application no later than Friday, March 13th. There's a hyperlink right here in the on the website. And the way it would work is after you when you apply, you will have to submit a PDF copy of your poster because some of the judging will occur prior to that, prior to the actual presentations. And then when you do come to the poster session, a judge will come by at some point during the session, introduce themselves. They'll either have a badge on or they say, "Hi, I'm a judge for the poster," and you'll walk them through your project. And then we will announce the winners of the Outstanding Poster award right after the poster session at the awards ceremony to close out the conference on Sunday morning. Okay. Does anybody
Let
have
me
any questions?
just,
Oh yeah, go
I
ahead.
want to jump in and just really encourage people to sign up to do that. Last year I took three students who were doing posters and we did some practice before we went to the conference, and a first time attendee at the conference who was not super confident going in won one of the award contests and was
Yeah,
it's a gratifying experience no matter what, but don't sell yourself short. I think you should consider signing up to have your poster judged. It's a
for
fun
sure.
experience.
For sure. And it's totally opt-in. So feel free to do that. We certainly encourage it. We'd love to see all the hard work you all put into your projects and would love an opportunity to reward or recognize your contributions and the incredible projects that you're working on. So to that end, I wanted to show you just a few examples of what posters might look like. You may have done posters before, but if you haven't, I have a few that I can. I'm not. I'm. They're not all mine, so I can't. Speak for them. But here's one. Um, Typically, just the mechanics of building a poster for those of you that are maybe relatively new to this, is you're going to build it most likely in either Canva or in PowerPoint or Google Slides or something like that. And the way it works is you can download templates for these. They're not things that you necessarily have to design from the ground up. You can get templates for them, like I said, on Canva or elsewhere. And you build them in PowerPoint or slides. And the idea is you want to use as much visuals as possible, visual aids as possible, whether it's photographs or images or um, graphs and charts, figures, tables. You want to minimize text as much as possible because you are talking to people, and so most of the text that people are going to get should be verbal, right? Um, Most of the time, and this is going to vary depending on your discipline, but typically for a poster, you can sort of think about having a section or a portion of the poster devoted to each of the major sections of a research article. So you should have an abstract. You'll have some kind of introduction and purpose. You'll have section for your methodology. You'll have data for results that you can hopefully be able to visualize either in the form of graphs or tables, followed by a conclusion or interpretation, right? And so that's sort of like the body of the poster. You'll have a references section. Feel free to make the references section smaller in type, because no one needs to see 30,000. That's not a major focus of what you want people to be looking at. You should have them there, but feel free to make that font smaller, like you see here, so you don't have to worry about taking up real estate on your poster devoted to things that aren't super relevant or important to an audience member. Um, you should have a title. You'll have your name, affiliation. If you have logos for your institutions, you should certainly throw those on there somewhere so that people can, quickly and easily identify the institution that you come from. This is one. Here's another one. Um, One thing I wish I had been told when I was up and coming, doing posters for professional presentations is to, just from an aesthetics and design standpoint, make use of negative space because you're printing out a poster that is 48 inches by 36 inches, you will feel compelled to put some kind of thing in every square inch of your poster. I would strongly recommend or urge you to resist that compulsion, because from an aesthetic standpoint, you want people to be able to engage with your poster in a way that makes what you're trying to delineate to them as accessible as possible. So don't feel the need to put text or image on every square inch. Having blank space is a really good way to make sure that people know, here's my intro, here's my abstract, here's my data. It's a way of breaking up the content in a way that is easily digestible, and easy to follow. So I highly recommend you think about doing that. You can play around with where you put stuff, right? So typically you'll have an abstract somewhere on the upper left or even in the middle. You can play around with fill for, different backgrounds, to if you want to have, like, for this, for example, this one has their goals with a silver background as opposed to just mostly blue backgrounds. You can feel free to do that. Here's another one. Again, negative space. You can see things are clearly boxed out. And again, like I was saying, don't feel like you have to design these from the ground up. If you're comfortable doing that, you absolutely can. But there are plenty of professional poster templates that you can find for free, on design websites. So don't feel like if you don't have to, create it from the ground up. Back in my day, you did. So you're all very lucky. Here's another one. Um, that's it. I don't have much else to add here. Tanya, is there anything that I missed or anything that you wanted to also point out, in terms of like just like the
I
overall stuff?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate that the you want to design your poster early and
Yeah.
get a printout of it, so that you can see how it reads. And then you want to practice delivering that 1 to 2 minute overview of your research a few times with an audience so that it feels pretty old hat by the time you hit the poster session. Um, it's a lot of fun, and I think what you'll find, at least when I've worked with my students, that when we do it almost drill style, right, we interrupt and we'll say, okay, you're over elaborating the point, like say the point and then point to this example on the poster. So do some practice, because then you'll not only be used to making exactly the right gesture to the image or the graph on your poster, but you'll feel confident, to kind of go into a session with all these people you don't know. So practice makes a difference, and print the poster out ahead of time so that you can get some feedback on the look of it and whether or not there are places where you can redesign or slim things up. You want to use a font size that's visible from, um, that's another good thing to practice. You'll sort of see people will be up close because it's loud in the room, but they need to be able to read it from, I'd say, like 3 feet away.
Yeah,
So
that's a good
there
rule of
there
thumb.
are sort of standard font sizes that you can find online. I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'll reiterate that too. Um, Typically, if you're going to get these printed out, some of your institutions may have a poster printing space somewhere on campus. Need a lead time of usually 1 to 3 days. One would be cutting it close. Um, you can also get these printed out at Staples. They can do it a little bit faster, but still, like, do not wait until Thursday when you're getting ready to leave, or get picked up by your honors director or whoever you're traveling with. Um, in terms of designing it and what to include and what not to include, you certainly should feel free to lean on your faculty advisor or your honors director for feedback on these. They have more than likely done more than one poster in their life or been to poster sessions in their lives. So you should certainly feel free to draft these out, send it to them for feedback, get a sense of what they think is um, in good shape, get a sense of what they think ought to be redeveloped or redesigned or rethought, and certainly find the time to practice. You definitely don't want to be opening your mouth to talk about this for the first time on Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning. Uh, it can
Agreed.
for some of you it may work great. For me, I would have not done well if I had not practiced. And I can tell you that even having done it many times, practice still is helpful.
Yep.
So certainly recommend doing that. Do it with your honors, honors, other honors cohort members and other
Faculty
things, other
mentor.
people, faculty mentors, and things like that. Super helpful. Um,
So
with
Zach, we got a
that,
couple of questions in
yeah,
the chat, and I
for
think
sure.
if I'm understanding them correctly, I think they're about similar issues. When you do a poster where you're not necessarily presenting new research, but kind of presenting the outcome of a literature review, I think
Yeah.
that is a common practice in posters. You want to start talking a little bit about how to structure those.
Yeah, I mean, it will depend on the project itself. But one thing I would suggest is if you're doing a lit review or something where you don't have your own independent data, or independently generated data to present, you can feel free to pull figures, tables, other visual aids from the papers that you've read. And as long as you cite them, you can say this figure is from Jones et al. 2015. Or another thing you could try to do is if you are trying to find common elements or common themes um, from the papers that you're reviewing, you can create a table that summarizes some of those findings. You can create a figure that summarizes some of those findings, depending on how accessible the data is or how you know how closely aligned the data are to the extent that you could make a figure, you could also do that. As long as you're
Yeah,
citing where you're pulling that information from, that's totally acceptable and okay.
yeah.
So,
And I
what I'm
would
showing,
and
yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, no.
I would, the other thing I would say is when you're structuring a lit review for sharing sort of what you've learned from looking at a body of research, I think the primary thing that you're going to want to do is synthesize what you've learned for your audience, right? Because you've read 10 articles or 20 articles, however many things you've read. And what your job in the poster presentation on the poster itself is to kind of bring that information, take that mass of information and make it consumable. So I would recommend that you have a section that talks about what is the topic or the problem or the issue that kind of lays it out and draws information from those resources to show the nature of the problem slash issue. And then you have another section where you're thinking about major findings, and maybe you divide those major findings and approaches methodologies into sections, and that those are the sections of your paper but or your poster. But I would say the most important thing is to think about structure. You're trying to convey a great deal of information to an audience in a compressed amount of time and in a compressed space. And then produce a draft and get feedback from an audience, from your honors director, from a faculty mentor, from other honors students. They can help you to think about how to make it uh, communicate its findings better.
Yeah. Um, and you can, like Tanya said, lean on faculty and honors directors, but there's plenty of information that you can, just do a quick Google search or something to find tips for how to do posters for literature reviews. One thing I wish I had, one thing I can say is like don't feel like you're not inventing the wheel, right? You're not reinvent. This has all been done before, not necessarily your individual project, but all of these things are things that other people have had to tackle before, and there's plenty of information out there. If you take some time to search for it, you can find examples for how best in your particular discipline or in your particular field to organize posters based on the information that you need to convey. Um, I saw another question. What are the main things we look for when evaluating posters? It's a good question. I actually have a rubric that I'm happy to share with you, and this will be made available to all people who want to be in the poster award. But I can share this with you now so that you can see what generally we're looking for. If I can find is.
When we walk around and judge the posters, we really come to it just like another audience member.
Yeah,
Um, you can usually tell that the person is a poster judge because they have a little clipboard with a piece of paper
yeah,
on it.
yeah,
But then we're as the rubric will make clear, we're looking for the clarity of your poster and the clarity of your presentation. Um, you
Yeah.
want to talk about that?
Yeah, yeah.
You can kind of see
So
it.
so what we're looking for, there are I think four, I think we have four categories, yeah, that we identified as part of what we're going to be, looking to evaluate. First is the quality of the content, right? Um, to the extent that you have research questions, methods, results, conclusions, are they clear? Are they well supported? Are they, you know, present in the poster itself where we can easily see them? Then we'll also look at the overall design and organization. Posters, as much as they are content driven, are also aesthetically driven. And we're not looking for like, is it pretty? We're looking for, can I find what I need to find in a quick scan of this poster, right? Can I easily identify where the abstract is? Can I easily identify where the data is or the conclusions are, or whatever I want to be looking for? Is all of that stuff organized and structured in a way that make it easy to read and easy to follow, right? Not necessarily easy to understand because that is where you come in and as a presenter, but just like, is the stuff that needs to be there in a way that makes sense? Um, the next part is mostly looking at the presenter themselves and how they engage their audience. So the first two are really independent of your presentation and your presentation style, right? How you create the poster, the colors that you use, how you organize all that stuff, that's present on the poster itself. And, no offense, you don't really matter for that stuff. At least in terms of your presentation. I mean, you matter. You matter. But engagement and communication is looking at your presentation style. Are you able to engage the audience in a way that makes it clear what your poster is about, following the main concepts you want to hit on throughout the that are present on the poster, right? Like, did you skip over the data? Did you skip over the methods? Did you spend too much time talking about methodological nuance that really aren't necessary to get the point across? Like that kind of stuff. Like finding that balance and giving that presentation in a way that is effective at getting your message across. And then lastly, we're looking at originality and impact. How original is the project? How important to the field is it? And that's not necessarily something that judges will be able to know in and of themselves. That's partly on the presenter to make it clear, like, this is why this poster is important. This is why this project is really important. And here's why it matters to our particular field. So you have to also think about that in your presentation. Like, you have to be able to answer the question, who cares, right? Who would like why should anyone care about this project? You should have an answer to that. No one's going to ask it that in quite that way. We're much more, supportive, but ultimately you want to make it clear, like, this is an important project and here's why. And so that's also what we're looking at. Any other questions or follow-ups that people may have?
Zach, would you post that document into the chat? Somebody asked about that. And I'm going to make sure that a copy of the rubric gets posted onto the page on the website where people sign up to have their posters judged. So you can have a look at
I
it there.
am, I will say I'm not going to post it in the chat now because it may need the different categories may still need some tweaking. But we will make it available on the website once it is fully finalized. I mean, what I showed you was the
The
categories are
draft.
finalized, but we may nuance the wording. We have wordsmith like the wording of each: excellent, good, satisfactory, etc. So I don't want to put it in the chat because I don't want to be held to it if it does end
Yeah,
up
fair
changing, if
enough.
that's all right with everybody. But we will absolutely make it available well in advance of the conference and well in advance of the submission deadline for the poster award. We'll make plenty of announcements about it once it's posted, so it will be there for you, okay? Excuse me.
Anybody else have a question? Okay, well, I'm really excited to see all of you guys at the conference, and I'm really excited that you chose to do a poster presentation. I can promise you, you're going to it's going to be interesting and fun. If you've never done it before, it's um, it's exciting. You're going to have a great time. So, if any questions come up afterwards, be sure to reach out to your honors mentor and talk your honors advisor, your honors.
Yeah.
What is my job?
Web
Director.
coordinator.
Talk to your
Oh, honors
exact
director. Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Your honors director is there to kind of help you think through these things too. So
yeah,
A, practice, B, come and have a great time because it is
yeah.
going to be great.
Yeah, and I'll also reiterate, poster sessions are one of the more invigorating um, um, aspects of the conference. It's like the room is a buzz with people talking about
Yes.
really cool stuff and really cool projects, and you can sort of it's infectious. You just sort of get wrapped up in it, and it's a really fun experience, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. All right.
All
Thank
right.
you,
Well, thank
everyone.
you, everyone. Yeah.
This session will be posted. If you need to come back to it for information, you're always free to reach out to us and ask us any follow-up questions that come to your mind in between now and then. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you in New Haven in just a few weeks.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.